Hey, there you are. Welcome back. Episode 20 of the Secret Guitar Club. Today I speak with Leeward Sound. Dylan Lewis is making boutique pedals, and I learned quite a bit about what goes into making a guitar pedal. I didn't know a whole lot about pedals going in. I know quite a bit more. I also know what I might be asking for Christmas this year. Please like and subscribe. Hope you enjoy this chat with Dylan, and we'll catch you on the other side. Hey, what's up, Dylan? Thank you for joining the club. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Brian. Glad to be here.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to chatting with you about your business, Leeward Sound, and the pedals that you're making. I will go ahead and say right off the top, I am an acoustic player. I have one pedal. I have an electric guitar too. I play a little bit, but primarily acoustic. But I don't really know anything about pedals, and I'm looking to learn quite a bit here. So, before we dive into your business and your pedals, tell me about yourself. How did you start, and when did you start playing guitars?
Okay. I grew up around pedals my entire life and guitars my entire life. So when as a kid, I could have tripped over a pedal and landed on another pedal. So my dad was a lead guitar player in kind of a blues rock cover band in rural North Dakota. He'd kind of tour the area and make okay money. He was a farmer, so he had some time where he had the winters off, and so he had a band together, and they'd go do that. And so we also had the rehearsals for the band would usually take place in my house, in the living room. So I've just been around it my whole life. For a while, I tried to rebel against it. It's like I'm not going to play guitar. I'm not going to be
Right.
like that guy. But it turns out I was an awful lot like like my dad, and I started playing guitar probably about 15 years old.
Mhm.
And then it didn't really stick with me, so I got a bass and then played that for about a year, and then got into guitar, and then started playing all kinds of stuff.
Cool. Your
Yeah.
dad was in a blues band, you said?
Well, blues rock, like it was a cover band. What he would
Hmm.
like to play, if given the choice, would be like just kind of blues based 60s rock kind of stuff.
And what kind of
So,
guitar did your dad play?
all kinds. Like one of his favorite guitars was his '63 Gibson SG
Nice.
that my brother and I, broke the headstock off when I was quite. Yeah, so he had it sitting by a couch. My brother was chasing me around. I went behind the couch to hide from him, and then my head bumped it as I emerged from the other side of the couch. It fell down, just cracked. Um, and so my dad, yeah, he was pretty upset about that, but he was
Yeah.
able to get it fixed up really well, and his fix held for over 30 years. So it's
Nice.
pretty
Nice.
good for just some wood glue and some clamps.
Well, I hope you didn't get into too much trouble for that. I don't know how that would go around here. I'm not sure how I'd react.
He reacted probably better than I would have, and he ended up actually for my graduation, when I graduated from high school, he gave me the guitar. So
Cool.
it was pretty cool. And I still have it, and I cherish
Yeah.
it, and it's my main recording guitar for when I want humbucker sounds. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, you started playing guitar around 15. Tell me about your guitar journey. Have you been playing ever since, or you played bass a little bit too?
hmm
When did you come back around to guitar?
it was
Did
well,
you?
I did. I'm probably mainly a guitar player. Bass is sometimes still the most fun to play, but I actually when I was around, I had a guitar and a bass for quite a while, and I was staying with a friend in Montana, and I had my guitar and my bass in my vehicle, and so I was staying with them, so I didn't want to load their house with a bunch of stuff. So I brought my guitar in because it was more valuable, but left the bass out in the car. And somebody came and did a smash and grab and
Mm,
ran off with the bass, which, in hindsight, was pretty foolish to leave it in the vehicle. But so then, then I didn't have a bass, so so I played guitar, and I was actually in a band at the time, playing bass in the band. So that was kind of a detriment to that. But I had a bass multi effects unit, and for a while I pretended to play bass by playing an octave down effect with my guitar. It
yeah,
did not sound very good.
I was going to say, yeah,
Yeah,
not sustainable anyway.
not at all. No, no, no.
Cool, cool. So, when did you start building pedals? And how did that begin? Like, what prompted you to build your first pedal?
Okay, well, I started out like I had an amplifier that the reverb unit was broken on it, and I've always been somebody who's not scared enough to get my hands inside of the chassis of something like an amp, which is, I should, you shouldn't unless you really know what you're doing because there's a capacitors in there that can hold a deadly voltage.
Hmm.
Luckily, that the part I was working on was down below, safely way. And so I was able to get that fixed, and then after that, it gave me some confidence,
Hmm.
and I built a couple of splitter and AB pedals. This was probably about 20 years ago. And
Cool.
I didn't really get into the effects part of it because I didn't really realize it was something that somebody could do. I'd look inside of a Boss pedal and you'd see so many, I'd be like, I'm not an electronics engineer. I can't do this. But then I later on, I went to school for audio engineering and
Hmm.
met some people who were saying, "Oh man, I built this pedal and it's awesome." I was like, "You built a pedal? You can't build a pedal." And then, I played a boost pedal somebody built and I was like, "Oh wow." And it took a little while longer till I started doing it. I'd say it was probably about uh, 4 or 5 years ago that I kind of started really
Yeah.
working on building my own pedals. And then, once I did it, I dove in head first,
Yeah.
essentially.
What was that first kind of pedal you built? Like, if you were to build, like, what was the? Again, I don't know much about them. So, what was
Hmm.
the first type that you built? It's not a tuner, I wouldn't
No,
imagine.
no, that's actually more complicated.
Yeah. Right.
Like so
Right.
it's got to have, but the first circuit that I built was actually it's called the Acapulco Gold,
Hmm.
which is an earthquaker pedal.
Okay.
It's a really really gritty distortion that's really good for what, like doom metal,
Yeah.
stoner metal kind of.
Hmm.
But it's only has a few components in it. And that was the first one I built on a breadboard, which if it's a prototyping tool for working on circuits.
Yeah.
But the first pedal I built all the way through and had an enclosure it's an Electra distortion
Okay.
is and so people in the DIY pedal world or people who want to get into the DIY pedal world look up Electra distortion. It has probably a simple version of it can have 8 or 9 components. You can do more to it to add some to it that'll help the sound out a little bit. But one thing about having such few components is that you can changing one of them really affects the overall sound. So it's a starting out on something with few parts is good because if you change certain diodes, it changes the sound a whole bunch. You can
Yeah.
switch out different transistors as long as they have the same pin out settings on them, and it really affects the sound.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
So, I think what I hear you're saying is simpler the better when kind of putting them all together.
I'm going to say that for the first ones. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who are ambitious and they want to try something more complicated, and that very well might be so you might be successful at that. But I'm going to say that you'll learn more from something simple just because of the fact that it's going to change more when you change one small thing about it. And making it your own is really, well, for me, the fun part.
And what is it about making it that does make it your own? What is the thing that makes your Leeward sound pedals your own?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the prototyping. The prototyping process, and what you do is lots of times you'll start with an existing topology,
Hmm.
meaning like you'll start with something that already exists. You'll get a schematic. And so one of the analogies I use for this, and people are like, "You're just cloning pedals, huh?" And I say, well, kind of, but in that a restaurant is cloning cheeseburgers, or, or something like that, because each restaurant will have a cheeseburger, but sometimes you like to have a cheeseburger from, you know, uh,
Yeah.
one place. Sometimes you want it from another place because they make it slightly different. Is it the same thing? Sure, but it has its own flavor to it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, making it your own is really taking the ingredients, which are the resistors, capacitors, transistors, op amps, things like that, and just subbing in something else or routing things differently or adding two things together.
Hmm.
Just, there's all kinds of fun things you can do.
Yeah. That's really interesting. What are I've been on your website and it looks great. Um, are those like your stock pedals that you're building? Like those are your models that you have and you build them to order kind of thing?
Yeah, so I work in a few different ways. I have a few pedals that I build constantly. I also do some custom work for
Hmm.
as requests,
Hmm.
and I also do some. I've done some artist signature, or actually, that's what I'm working on this week is an artist signature pedal for a band in Texas. Where the way I do it is pretty agile. I do it all myself, and I screen print graphics. And if I have a screen ready, I can think of the art I want to put on a pedal, and later that day theoretically have a pedal with it on there, and it's
Oh wow.
durable and it's crisp, and I really like that as opposed to sending away for somebody else to do it. But yeah, so those I have a base line of pedals about which is
Mhm.
about at this point I think about seven, but I have probably a total of 15 that I do and can make, but about seven
Cool.
regulars.
That's cool. So this band, this artist pedal that you're doing for the band in Texas, rather,
Hmm.
what was it specifically that they wanted?
Okay. So they actually, randomly reached out to me on Instagram and said, "Hey, we should collaborate sometime." And I was like, "Oh, so you want?" And then I kind of inserted their name, a pedal like this, and he was like,
Uh-huh.
and they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, okay." This is a very simple,
Cool.
conversation because I've actually had people reach out to me and say, "Hey, let's collaborate," and they don't even look to see what industry I'm in at all, and so but this one they were very thoughtful, and they had pretty good ideas of what they wanted to do or
Hmm.
what they were looking for, at least from a general standpoint. They wanted one side like a dual pedal, one
Hmm.
side nice and pretty, and one side kind of ugly, which goes with the theme of their name and everything.
Cool.
Um,
Yeah, and I guess that makes sense. To kind of be like their own branded pedal, and
mhm.
that's just kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I have the like a proof enclosure here if you want if you want to take a look at it. I don't know
Yeah, I'd love
if
to see
it'll
it.
so
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to see maybe, but
Oh yeah.
the band is called Honey Rot. They do
Yeah.
and so one side, the honey side, it's maybe hard to
Yeah.
read, and then there's a rot side. So there's distortion over here. It's
Oh,
gonna be
that's cool.
tremolo over there because some of their songs use tremolo
Yep.
and most of them use distortion. And they're a really
Yep.
cool band, bilingual, kind of pop punk emo kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. But yeah,
Yeah.
they're cool guys.
That's really
So
cool. And how many, were they going to purchase like a handful of them, or are they going to
yeah,
try to sell them
just
like to
no.
their?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just wondering how that works. If they're going to like market, like, if it's a collab, maybe they market it as, the root rot pedal and
Yeah,
sell it.
well, we haven't talked about that part, but that's a question I should ask them. But right now, they ordered one one for the road, a road backup, and then one for the studio. So
Yeah.
yeah, so three, and that's pretty common. Like, or sometimes in the past, I've made it so I make one for each member of the band, and they keep
Yeah.
those, and then that's kind of cool. And actually, I've made it so in one of them, two people got vibratos and one person got a tremolo because that's what,
Yeah.
and it was had the same design on it and everything. So
Well, I guess what I'm thinking in my head is if there's any like super fans of that band or any band that you're making pedals for, they would probably love to buy the same pedal that
yeah,
their favorite guitar player is using. You know what I mean?
hmm that's a
That's
good
cool.
idea. I should see if they want to order some for their merch booth. If I was at a merch booth and they had a pedal there, man, if I had some
Yeah,
money burning a hole in my pocket, I'd be walking away with one. I love pedals.
yeah, that's cool. I'm always got my marketing hat on. So, what are your favorite pedals that you like to play when you're playing?
Okay, so My so ge generally my favorite types of pedal is in okay, so I'm gonna go take a couple steps back here. Sorry, I'll
Hmm.
try not to be too long-winded. But I was once much like you, and I was an acoustic player,
Hmm.
and I was in a band. We released a mostly acoustic album like 15 years ago or so, and then I was a singer-songwriter, kind of playing acoustic. I always liked electric, and I always had one around. I've slowly inched towards now my favorite type of effect is actually fuzz, which is the probably the furthest from an acoustic sound you can get when the fuzz
Yeah.
is turned up and when you however when you with a fuzz pad so the reason I love fuzz and particularly kind of a two transistor more primitive type fuzz pedal like a fuzz face
Hmm. Yeah.
topology if you turn down the amount of signal going into that thing, like if you turn on the volume on your guitar, if you have a volume pedal or something, it really cleans up and adds just a bright sparkle. And so you can actually almost get a fuzz pedal to kind of mimic an acoustic guitar. And I actually have a fuzz pedal that was the purpose that I designed it, was for pristine finger picking. But
Yeah,
when you turn it up, it's a dirty fuzz pedal. But it was designed for the clean sound, if that
gotcha.
makes any sense. But so fuzz are my favorite. So a few of my favorite types of fuzz, I really like the JHS cheese ball, which
Hmm.
is based on I forgot what it's a love pedal, I think, is a brand that made the original one. It's based on. I really like the Earthquaker Fuzzmaster General, it's called,
Hmm.
which is an octave fuzz where it kind of if you play it in a particular way and play particular notes, there's like an upper octave above what you're playing that plays, and it has to do with this is where, if I were an electrical engineer, I could explain exactly what it's doing, but it's essentially folding over the waveform and playing like a octave up harmonics over it.
Yeah,
So I really like that. And I make a couple different types of fuzz pedal myself, but yeah,
that's
that's my
cool.
favorite. Yeah.
I saw your fuzz pedal on your site there with the Christmas theme,
Oh yeah.
the fuzziest
It's
fuzz or
Warm Fuzzies is what it was
warm
called.
fuzzies. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and I made that last Christmas
Cool.
to donate the proceeds to a charity called Toys for Joy that I've been
Yeah.
involved in for a decent amount of time. But yeah, I thought that would be fun, and it has a naughty and a nice knob on it. I
Yeah.
may make it available again this Christmas, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
It'll be here
Yeah,
before you know it.
I know, right? I
Uh,
better start making them, right?
yeah, that's really cool. That the naughty nice is a nice touch.
Hmm.
I have an electric guitar and I'm starting to play it a little bit more. I have no pedals set up with it. I own one pedal. It's a delay pedal that a friend of mine gave me because he's took a bunch of my furniture that I built. So it was kind of a swap situation. But I don't even use that very much. But I wonder if I should use pedals more because I don't really love the way my guitar sounds just plugged straight into my little amp. And I always have this like humming and buzzing. And is it true that the pedals can kind of take care of that and listen to the guitar and kind of equal that feedback out a little bit?
Well, there are some pedals that are designed to do that. Most pedals will add noise to your signal to an extent.
Okay.
There's always going to be some noise added. What type of guitar is it? Because it could just be, is it a low pitched hum?
It's a
Or is it,
Telecaster, and it's just like if it's sitting on the stand, it's kind of a low pitched hum, yeah.
hmm.
And then I pick it up and touch it, it's gone.
Oh, okay. You could actually have a grounding issue, or there could be sometimes there's um, if you have dimmable lights in your room,
Yeah,
that can cause a lot of electronic interference with it.
yeah,
So typically, unless a pedal's designed for getting rid of noise, it probably won't do that. Another thing to add is that a Telecaster typically has single coil pickups,
hmm,
which are not designed to be humbuckers. But humbuckers were originally designed to get rid of 60 cycle hum or
yeah.
60
Buckle
hertz
hum.
hum.
Yeah.
Um, my Telecaster, if I put the switch in the middle position, it kind of
Hmm.
adds both pickups together, and it kind of works that way and gets rid of that hum to an extent. But yeah, it might be some interference, either a ground issue or interference in your
Yeah.
environment you have it in.
Once I start playing, it doesn't bother me. It's just really when I'm
Hmm.
like walking by and I just happen to notice it. So
Hmm. Yeah.
cool. What would you recommend that the first pedal I buy is?
Hmm. So actually, you're halfway there. Okay, so if somebody came to me and said, "What should I get? I want to get some guitar pedals." I would say all for me, I can get 90 90% of the tones I want with a distortion pedal and a delay.
Hmm.
So a good delay pedal, and then just a distort and I really like the circuit that's in MXR Distortion Plus, Dodd 250, Ross Distortion. Like they're kind of
Yeah.
all similar topologies. The way it works is the distortion knob kind of works like a tone knob, and if you turn the
Mhm.
distortion all the way up on lots of uh, pedals, it's unusable. But I think on in that circuit, it's still usable and actually makes it really crisp and glassy and sounds really good. So I think that sounds really good
Mhm.
throughout the whole range of the distortion, and also if you turn that up and down the volume on your guitar, it will clean up or get a little dirtier that way. And
Yeah.
my pedal I would recommend for delay would be a MXR Carbon copy. It
Mhm.
has modulation built into the delay. If you turn it, if you want to, you can turn it on. And you can. There's things in the. If you open it up, there's trim pots where you can adjust that modulation. So it gets you a lot of the way there because it has a time-based effect, which is the delay. It has modulation, which is actually like a vibrato type
Mhm.
thing, and then the distortion. That'll get you a lot of tones you need.
Cool. Yeah, I've been thinking about diving into that, and like I said, I'm trying to play my electric a little bit more than I
Hmm.
have been. What amp are you using, and is there any difference between what amp you use and the pedals that you have set up? Like, could you take the same pedal setup and plug it into five different amps, and would the pedals behave differently or no?
They're going to behave quite a bit differently depending on the type
Yeah.
of amp. So my go-to amp is actually it's a 1967 Gibson Skylark. It's a very small. It's a small kind of weird
Yeah.
amp that has some built-in tremolo.
Cool.
I also have a 70s Fender Twin Reverb, which with master volume, which a lot of people don't like, but I like it. So those two, they have much different character to them. So yes, if I do
Mhm.
switch between the two of those, it's quite different. I actually use a Boss GE7 EQ pedal to kind of help between them, or you set up the pedals differently.
Yeah.
And a tube amp will behave differently than a solid state amp.
Mhm.
I'm by no means a tube snob. I like solid state as well. You just have to know what you're gonna, how to play into it, each one. So I'm gonna say a cheap guitar through a really good amp is gonna sound better than the inverse of that. Like a really
Yeah.
good guitar through a cheap. Some cheap amps are very good, and they're
Yeah.
getting better and better now. But just like a small practice amp, you're not going to be able to get as good a sounds out of with even with a $3,000 guitar.
Yeah, that could also be part of my problem. I have a little Vox. I think it's the ACTV4. It's a small little tube amp, and it sounds good. I don't
Yeah,
mind it. I just don't really know enough about the tones to be able to dive in, but it would be a fun journey.
yeah,
So, where can people find you? And tell me what you have going on. Have you been up to any events lately?
yeah. So I have a the I'm on social media. I do it very. I focus my social media because I have a very small tolerance for it.
Yeah.
So I pretty much only focus on Instagram for sharing content often,
Hmm.
which would be and that's Leeward underscore sound is my that's where my
Hmm.
username would be. I do if I do a video and I do some short videos, I share those to YouTube, and then even TikTok and a couple of other places. But I'm not really active in any of those places on a day-to-day basis.
Hmm.
My website is leewardsound.com,
Hmm.
and that I have pedals for sale there.
Cool.
And what I've been up to lately, that was part of the question, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think you there was a pretty big event that you were at recently, right?
Yep. The last couple of months have been the busiest with Leeward Sound as they ever have been, because
Nice.
I decided to attend be an exhibitor at Earthquaker Day. And so people who know pedals are going to know about Earthquaker devices. Even people who don't know about pedals are going to know about Earthquaker devices often because they're one of the most well-respected pedal companies out there. And so it was really, really an honor to get to go there and, get to meet a lot of other pedal builders, meet a lot of pedal fans, and just
Hmm.
people who've never used pedals before. So one thing I did there to make it so anybody could enjoy the booth is I have an instrument called it's a Theramini. It's a Moog
Yep.
mini synth. It's an analog
Yeah.
synthesizer, but you control it with like a theremin. So
Hmm.
if anybody, if they can put their hand nearer and more and farther away from a rod can play. So what I did is I routed that through my pedal board, and so people could play the theremin. So nobody's good at it unless you take a lot. You can be really good at it, but it takes a lot of practice. But pretty much anybody can get a pretty good sound out of it. And so I had that there, so anybody could do it. And then so they got to experience pedals even if they didn't play guitar. I also had a guitar there, routed through the pedal board. But
Yeah.
it was just a very big day. I got to meet a lot of people, and um, sold a decent amount of pedals. It was great. But the
Nice.
most fun part was just getting to talk to so many people, and it was just busy from, it was about a 5 hour event. It was, well, I had about 5 minutes where I got to walk around and try to say hi to some other people while it was going on.
Yeah.
But besides that, it was just wall-to-wall people, and it was so great.
Oh, that's great. Well, it is a great opportunity to get people's reactions and be able to see people's reactions to the pedals and get an idea of what resonates with people and maybe what doesn't resonate. So it's always helpful. Sounds like a great event. That's awesome.
hmm
Do you have any other events planned for the future?
Well, there's a just down the road here in an ice rink in Anoka County, Minnesota, or in Anoka, Minnesota. They're having a musicians craft fair on August 30th, and I'm going to be have a booth there. So
Nice.
I've been to them a couple times. It's people selling a bunch of different instruments. There's been a couple of people selling pedals there before, people who make pedals. So I'm just going to try my hand at it. Just get out and talk to some
Yeah.
local music fans and gear fans, and make some connections. So
That's awesome. I've never heard of a music only craft fair, but that's right up my alley. I
I
love
suppose it'd
craft
be
fairs.
if I said craft fair, it's probably if it's a
Or
vendor fair.
vendor fair, sure.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that.
Same
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
Still sounds fun. I do
Sure, sure. Yeah.
that. Well, Dylan, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for chatting. I'll put your website in the show notes below, and I look forward to chatting again and seeing you on social media.
All right. Nice chatting with you, Brian. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. See ya.
Bye.